Canada is building up its military right now. You saw that the fighter jet known as a Gripen comes from Sweden, and right now Sweden's trying to get Canada to purchase those Gripens over the F-35s from the Americans, who have proven to be openly hostile to Canada. Now, one of the things Canada is doing as well, and this needs to get more attention, is that their Department of National Defense right now wants to call up about 300,000 citizen soldiers and create this supplementary reserve to be on war footing. Against who? I think you probably know the answer. To protect their homeland is where the top defense official from Canada is basically saying these 300,000 soldiers need to be stationed. General Jeannie Carillon, the leader of the defense forces, the top commander in Canada, is calling on this mass mobilization of 300,000 citizens to defend the homeland. And this comes at the same time that Canada is working with Kyiv, working with the Ukrainians to get the drone technology and the drone manufacturing from Ukraine to start being accelerated in Canada. They're on war footing, folks, and rightfully so. And perhaps it's not being talked about on corporate news like that, but let's be very clear what just went down. The United States put out its national security strategy, right? And in its national security strategy, in addition to saying that the U.S. wants to see basically regime change in Europe, they want far right-wing groups that are Putin bootlickers to take over Europe, to disband the European Union. The United States has its official policy to end NATO as a permanent organization and an expanding organization, even the perception thereof of NATO as a permanent and expanding organization. And then regarding the Western Hemisphere, the United States has put in its national security document that the U.S. controls its sphere of influence. And then it doesn't use the word vassal state, but it essentially says that anything in the U.S. sphere of influence belongs to the U.S. Canada, Mexico, Central America, South America, that belongs to the U.S. Anything in kind of the Europe sphere of influence belongs to Russia, and everything in the Asian sphere of influence belongs to China, America throwing Taiwan and Japan and South Korea under the bus. So Canada heard this message loud and clear, and they're arming up 300,000 soldiers coming from the citizenry. Let me explain to you what's specifically going down there. And by the way, this is at the same time we see Japan building up its armed forces, Germany and other countries in Europe building up its armed forces. Folks, there's been seismic shifts, frankly, since Donald Trump got back into power with this regime. But over the past 48 hours, we're seeing massive military buildups around the world, okay? We're seeing wars accelerating right now in their ferocity. Thailand and Cambodia getting worse. Congo, Rwanda getting worse. Ukraine, Russia accelerating its attacks on Ukrainian infrastructure and civilian targets. There continues to be countless Palestinians who are being killed in Gaza. This is what's going on. The world's never been less safe. I want to remind you, please hit subscribe to this YouTube channel. We are on our way to 6 million subscribers. And corporate media and media around the world just ain't reporting on this stuff enough. So please, if you can, you know the Trump regime's trying to shut us down, and we just need to keep growing this thing. So double check that you're subscribed and make sure you hit subscribe right now. So first, let's talk about the 300,000 soldiers. Citizen soldiers envisioned by the Department of National Defense. They want to figure out how it will clothe, equip, and train hundreds of thousands of new reservists, envisioned under an ambitious mobilization proposal that Canada's top military commander describes as a work in progress. And what may be an ominous sign of the times, the department has established a key position dedicated solely to growing the military in the event of a major crisis. ... With who? Who do you think they're talking about? With the United States. This is what CBC is reporting as well. While Canada had various mobilization schemes during the First and Second World Wars, the new Director General position is, according to a defense expert, the first of its kind and faced with the daunting mission of delivering 100,000 reserve soldiers and an additional 300,000 citizen soldiers in a supplementary reserve should the need arise. That should be on top of an estimated 85,500 regular or full-time force of soldiers, sailors, and air crew. Now, let's talk about what's been going on between Canada and Ukraine with this critical drone technology. Ukraine has stated it is sharing drone and military technology with Canada, the same way Ukraine has mastered the use of these drones to protect against Russia on its border. Canada wants to do the same in case of an invasion from the United States. Ukraine is willing to share its military technology, including drones, with Canada, either by selling it or through joint production, Kyiv's envoy told members of parliament on Tuesday. Ukraine, under assault from Russia, has become an expert in drone warfare innovation, with the evolution of technology happening at a rapid pace, as they play a central role in the conflict. Ukraine's ambassador to Canada was asked at the Commons Defense Committee on Tuesday how Kyiv could help the Canadian government acquire new military technology, including drones. He told the members of parliament cooperation on joint defense production is already underway. Prime Minister Carney's government is trying to reduce its reliance on the United States for military equipment. And you saw right there with the Gripen, with the jets that they're now analyzing from Sweden. I mean, like the F-35s, let's be clear, it's a better technology. But if Trump can control that technology and use it against Canada, the United States proving to be an unreliable ally. So do you go with perhaps not quite as good fighter technology, but from a reliable partner, or do you go with the better technology from an enemy, essentially, at this point? And Canada currently gets about 75% of its defense equipment from the United States, and it wants to move away from that. All right. I want to bring in Charlie Angus, leader of Meidas Canada, to discuss this big military buildup that we're now seeing in Canada. Charlie, this is a big, big deal. Canada arming up 300,000 civilian soldiers. What are you hearing, Charlie?
This is unprecedented. We've always had a standing Canadian Army. We've had reserves. We don't have a National Guard. We have reserves and people who, can work at the grocery store and go in the summer and get trained up and be ready for military training. But it's a very specific group of people who do that. They're talking about a 300,000 citizens army of volunteers. Now, they're being really careful what they're saying in the media. Oh, it'll be to fight forest fires and emergencies. But they're also talking about taking people who are older, people who wouldn't normally pass the physical, people who aren't of military age, and teaching them how to work drones. I think this is a sign that, the Prime Minister's kept a very cool smile on his face. He's never really said what they really think the threat is, but we've seen the Trump doctrine. The Trump doctrine lays it out. They are abandoning the democratic allies. They are going to actively undermine their former allies. They believe that Canada will be some kind of vassal state. And clearly, the government is taking this seriously enough to float to the public the notion of a 300,000 standing citizens army of volunteers who are going to be trained up in many tasks. And that, I think, is going to be to send a message that we will defend this land.
So you know that feeling when your bank account balance just isn't matching what your budget says it should be? That was me. I thought I had everything tracked, but once I downloaded Rocket Money, it showed me subscriptions I had totally forgotten about, and even one I was somehow paying for twice. That alone saved me real money instantly. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. What I love is how Rocket Money lays out your entire financial picture in one easy dashboard. Bill due dates, paydays, and automatic custom budgets based on your actual past spending. And when I started saving for a goal, Rocket Money analyzed my accounts and told me the best time each month to put extra money aside. And honestly made saving feel effortless. And yes, Rocket Money will even try to negotiate lower bills for you. They'll scan your bills for opportunities to save and then actually talk to customer service so you don't have to. Rocket Money has saved users over $2.5 billion, including over $880 million in canceled subscriptions alone. Their 10 million members save up to $740 a year when they use all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/MeidasTouch today. That's rocketmoney.com/MeidasTouch. rocketmoney.com/MeidasTouch. MeidasTouch.
Things have been moving at a very quick pace. I mean, it's all been moving in this direction, since this gangster regime took over. But just even over the past 48 hours, 72 hours, despite the media devoting very little coverage to this,
Yeah.
It seems that there are seismic shifts happening right now over geopolitical strategy. And that follows the Trump trying to force Ukraine into this surrender. This follows the ultimatum coming directly from Russia through Trump. And I think that Canada sees this loud and clear. Europe is now seeing it loud and clear. And it's so monumental, the shifts that are taking place, yet the attention it gets is very little.
Yeah, it's been staggering. I mean, this is, I think, why people watch MeidasTouch and Meidas Canada, because the mainstream media are not covering this to the extent that it needs to be covered. What we are seeing, particularly with the dropping of the Trump doctrine, is out there. What everybody knew behind the scenes is now clear. This is the global blueprint for a takeover, for a global conflict. I mean, Sergei Lavrov, who Trump invited him into the White House, is talking about Russia's already fighting World War III in hybrid warfare, hybrid pressure, pushing Europe. Trump has been undermining, threatening Zelensky. Just as you say, in the last 48 hours, what's been really showing up, though, is the cracks in the MAGA credibility on this. I mean, nobody's believing Trump when he threatens Zelensky. President Zelensky's meeting with Europeans. I know that they've been meeting seriously. They've got Chrystia Freeland, the former deputy prime minister, is now the special envoy in Ukraine, sent over by our prime minister. But the fact that we are now letting it be known that we are looking to establish a standing volunteer army to defend our country from whatever they say, any possible problem. This is sending a message to Trump that we are not going to roll over.
We saw the delegation of Sweden. We covered this in detail about 3 weeks ago. Everyone from the royal family to their deputy prime minister talking about, Saab and military weapons and trying to shift away from the F-35s and, Trump saying that he would basically rig the military equipment in order to control whoever received American military equipment. You have, France offering military equipment. So it seems to be, and Canada, because of its reliance before on American military equipment, it's hard just to switch from the F series and go completely to a new one. Just, you have to train the pilots again. So it's difficult. How's Canada navigating these things in addition to the standing army we see? Well,
these are, again, unprecedented times. One of the reasons that we were so integrated with the U.S. is we are always doing training drills with the U.S., with the Navy, with the Air Force, with military. Anybody who's been in the Canadian military, Royal Canadian Navy, have worked closely with their U.S. counterparts. So now suddenly we see that this is no longer just friends anymore. We're seeing a standing army, massive Air Force, massive, powerful Navy that is sending very clear messages of Monroe Doctrine, gunboat diplomacy. So the scramble to build this connection in Europe, this is happening faster than these systems are meant to accommodate. They're just not meant to turn around this kind of procurement, a changeover, starting to look to other allies to get subs, to get planes. But I think everyone's taking this very, very seriously, and I do take some comfort. I mean, I'm going to fight with the prime minister here, there, and everywhere on certain issues. But the fact that he's been in Europe, that meeting with the Swedes, meeting with the Finns, I mean, these guys are on the front lines. That Canada's just sent over a new contingent of soldiers to Latvia. The Baltics will be the next front line from Ukraine. But everybody here in Canada feels that if Ukraine falls, Canada's next, because these are gangster oligarchs. And so this step now is going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see whether Canada's military, with their traditional hidebound views on how to do things, will be able to bring that 300,000 person force into being. I think it's going to have to be more creative. I think there's a lot of people out there. I hear from people all the time, people who are getting gun licenses, who never had gun licenses before, people who say, I will be there if that day comes. The fact that they just casually mentioned in some of the news reporting, oh, and we'll teach you about drones. I think that this is sending a message to Pete Hoekstra, to Pete Hegseth, to Donald Trump, that Canada is not going to be a vassal state, and the gunboat diplomacy is not going to cross the line into our country.
You know, we see this also. Japan, a mass military mobilization. Germany building up its military. We're seeing this in other locations too. In Denmark, they just declared, their spy agency just declared U.S. a security threat. Their focus. So we're seeing this also in other countries as well. Some of the biggest military buildups also. But before we go, Charlie, I just wanted to get you, we always do this at the end of these videos. What message do you want to send to Donald Trump right now? We know his regime watches this all the time.
Well, I was told by Canadians, stop talking to Trump, because you know what? We don't care anymore, Donald. You're going to threaten us. We've seen what your Trump doctrine is. This is extreme, racist, isolationist. You are weaker. You are alone. You are in a disastrous situation. You're having to come up with $11 billion to try and bail out your farmers because of your tariff war and your attacks on markets. Canada's had a great agricultural year. Thank you very much. We're moving in on markets that you had before, Donald, because we work with our allies. Our economy is holding its own, Donald. We are not seeing the crisis in affordability that you are, because we are accommodating and getting ready. But what this tells me, Donald, is that as the cracks get bigger and bigger in MAGA, the rest of the world has moved on. So Vladimir Putin is a very happy man right now. He's got his obedient, dumb sock puppet in you, and you are doing his bidding. World War III may be underway, as Sergei Lavrov, your handler, brags, but that's only possible, Donald, because you have abandoned your traditional allies. Well, your allies are going to hold the ground without you. We're going to hold the line in Ukraine. We're going to hold the line in Europe. We're going to hold the line along the immense 49th parallel and in all our ports and in the far north. We will remain, Donald, at the end of the day, true north, strong and free. You'll probably end up in a jail cell someday.
Which is why Donald Trump is now threatening the International Criminal Court that they need to, even though the United States is not a member of it, to amend their founding documents to give him immunity, because he knows those war tribunals are coming. Charlie Angus leads Meidas Canada. Make sure you subscribe to Meidas Canada. Thank you, Charlie.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.